In this video, I'm going to review the interval and the absolute value sign, okay? So in the last video, I gave you some introduction to the limit, which is the limit of a function at a point A is the height of the function close to that point A. Close means left to A and right to A, okay? If the height of the function left of A, which is called left limit, and the right of A, which is called right limit, are equals to a number L, we call L is the limit of the function at x equals to A, okay? So I will give you a short review again at the end of this this video, but let us first do some examples on the interval, okay? And then I'll give you how to write an interval using absolute value, okay? So let's see the first example. Write all numbers within 1 unit from 0. So this is 0, right? Within 1 unit. So 1 unit right to 0 is 1, and 1 unit left to 0 is -1, right? So how can you write this using interval? Is -1 through 1. You see that? This is the interval notation. This is the graphical way to write all the numbers between all the numbers within 1 unit from 0. See, this is 0 in the middle. Within 1 unit from 0 is from -1 through 1. Okay, in the interval notation, that is how you write the numbers. But using the inequality, you can write -1 is less than x is less than +1. This is another way of writing that. Okay, so this is another way of writing exactly the same thing. All the numbers within 1 unit from 0. But there is alternative way using the absolute value. How do you write that? You write within 1 unit from 0 is x minus 0 is less than 1. This is what you write. Or in other words, you can write mod x is less than 1. For absolute value, some people like to write or call mod. But most of the books use absolute value. This is what we call it, okay? Absolute value of x minus 0 is less than 1, okay? So basically, if you want to write all the numbers that are certain unit from certain number, so that number goes with x minus, okay? And that number goes outside the less than, and then you write that number there, okay? So x minus 0, because see, if you take x here, then x minus 0 is the distance between x and 0 is less than 1, right? If you write x here, the distance between x and 0 is less than 1. So similarly, all the numbers, if you pick any x value between -1 and +1, the distance between that x and the 0 is less than 1. That's what it says. The distance between x and 0 is less than 1. Okay, that's what these numbers are. Or in another way is mod x is less than 1. But how do I get rid of mod, or how do I get rid of absolute value? What you do is you write that 1 with a negative sign and write that x in the middle without absolute value, and then write 1. That's so in this example, these examples I'll talk about that, but for now, how do I write numbers using absolute value? Let's see this example. Write all numbers within 2 units from 1. This is 1. You want to write within 2 units. So that is 2 units. Within 2 units. And then this is within 2 units to the left, right? And then this is within 2 units to the right. You see that? So these are the interval notation. So since this is 1, this should be 0. This should be -1, right? This is 2. This is 3. You see that? So you can write -1 through 3. That is the interval notation for this. -1 through 3. Okay. So how do I write using the inequality? So you write -1 is less than x is less than 3. So how do I, tell me, how do I write using the absolute value? What you do, you write x, all the absolute value, you write x inside the absolute value, and then minus, what is the number in the center? That is 1, right? The number in the center is 1. Or you can see from here too. What is the number in between -1 and 3? What is the exactly in the middle between -1 and 3 is 1, right? So that is in the 1. -1 and 3, that is exactly in the middle. So you write x minus that middle number. And what is the distance? The farthest distance from 1 is 2 unit, right? Because if you go 2 unit right, you will reach 3. If you go 2 unit left, you will reach -1, right? So that is within 2 units. That 2 unit is go here. X minus the center absolute value and then less than how far can it be, the maximum distance is 2. That's what you write. Okay, so let us do on these. So 5 through 6, right? If you draw the graph, there is 5, there is 6, right? What is in the middle? That is 5.5. You see that? So what is the maximum distance from this center to the boundary? It is 0.5. You see that? 0.5. So how do I write that? You write x minus center, right? And then less than, what is the maximum distance from the center to the boundary? Is 0.5. This is how you write using the absolute value for that interval. How about this one? Let's see that. 0, and then let me do that. 0, there is, not really. So how do I write that using the graph? Let's draw the line. There is 0, right? And then there is 2. What is in the middle? There is 1, right? 1 is in the middle. So how do I write this using the absolute value? You write x and then minus and then the number in the center is 1 and then less than, what is the maximum distance from the center to the boundary? It is 1, right? Because that is the 1 unit distance. Okay, how about this one? There is -3 here and then there is +3, right? What is in the center? You're right, that is 0, right? So how do I write that? You write x minus 0 is less than, the maximum distance from the center to the boundary is 3. So if you want to write x minus 0 is just x, right? So you can write x is less than 3. So this is how you write. Okay, so if an interval is given, this is how you write the using the absolute value. What you do is you find out the midpoint in the interval, the mid value, and then do x minus the mid value and then see how much distance is the boundary from the mid value. That is 0.5 here, right? 0.5 the other side too. So, and then you write less than 0.5. All right, similarly the other one. Now write using the interval for this problem and then also use the graph. Okay, for the following problem and the graph. Okay, for the following problem in the graph. Okay, so how do I do that? Is look at this. If there is -1 less than x less than 1, the shortcut way using the absolute value. By using the absolute value, what you do is you write x and then less than 1. When can you do that? Is if that 1 and then that 1 they match and then the left side is negative and the right side is positive. In that case you can write that way. Okay, if there are different value on the left and different value on the right, you cannot do that. You cannot write using the absolute value. You'll have to do some more work. Okay, but for now what I'm trying to do is, if there is absolute value given, what you do is to remove the absolute value. You write this number on the left with a negative sign and this number on the right as it is, and then write x without absolute value in the middle. Okay, that's what you do. Okay, so how do I do this problem is, this can be written as -3 is less than x less than +3. This is how you get rid of the absolute value. Okay, you write that number on the left side with a negative sign and that number on the right side with positive sign, and then what you do is you write that x in the middle. Whatever inside the absolute value you write in the middle. Now how do I so this is, now I want to write using the interval. That means between -3 to 3. You see that? And how do I do that using graph? That is -3 is there, right? And then +3 is there. So you can write this open circle because it is the open interval, right? So you can do the open circle here too. Here too, in all these cases I am doing the open circle. You see that? So you can write the open interval there, or the open interval or the open circle. You see that? Here too. Okay, that's the answer. How about the B? There is, what you do is -3, you always do that, and then is less than the things inside the absolute value. X minus 1 is less than +3, but you need to do some more work here. I want to write only x in the middle to write in the interval notation or in the graph. Okay, so what do you do there is you do add 1 on all sides. +1 + 1 will give you -2 is less than x is less than 4. You see that? Now this can be written in the interval notation because there is just x in the middle. So you write -2 through 4. Or if you want to use the graph, it is -2 open interval through 4, right? Open interval there too. That's the graph. How about C? You see that? How do I write that? You write -1.5 is less than x minus 6.5 is less than 1, positive 1.5, right? If you add 6.5 on both sides, that will cancel out, right? As we did here. And then add 6.5 plus 6.5. If you do that, what do you get? -6.5 plus 6.5 minus 1.5 will give you, this will give you 5, and then less than x less than 8. You see that? This is what you get. You don't need parentheses here because we are using the inequality, the less than symbol there. Okay. Now, how do I write this using the interval is 5 through 8. You see? And then in the interval notation, there is open interval and then 5, opens 8. You can write open interval there. And then this is how it looks like. All the x between 5 and 8. You see that? What is the midpoint? Midpoint is 6.5, right? All the numbers here are the numbers within 1.5 distance from 6.5. Here, all the numbers are the numbers within 3 units from 1, the numbers within 3 units from 0, and so on, right? How about this? Suppose A is a number, delta is another number. Delta is just a notation, just a symbol, okay? It's like a number. It's a 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. There is epsilon, we call, this one is delta. Delta. This one is called epsilon. Okay, so the delta is a small number we usually take. If that number is like 0.1, 0.2, 0.01, 0.00, like that, smaller than one number, we denote by delta. Okay, so delta is a number and A is also a number. What does that mean? That means all the numbers within delta distance from A. Okay, so that's what it says, right? Because what it says is all the numbers within 1 distance from 0. All the numbers within 2 distance from 1, right? 2 units from 1. All the numbers within 0.5 units from 5.5. All the numbers within 1 unit from 1. All the numbers within 3 units from 0, and so on, right? So here, all the numbers within delta units from A. How do I write that? You can write this as there is A somewhere within delta distance, right? So this distance is delta. This distance is delta. So on the left side, it is A minus delta. This point is A minus delta, right? And then this point is, it is on the right side. So A plus delta. So how do you write using the interval notation? That will be A minus delta to A plus delta. This is the interval notation for that. Okay, this is direct way of doing that, but you can do the way that we did. So what you do, if you want to do that way, then what you do is minus delta is less than x minus A is less than positive delta, and add A on all sides. Add A, add A. So what do you get? A minus delta is less than x is less than A plus delta. So this is basically, you can write A minus delta and then A plus delta inside the parenthesis, right? So directly, this is what I did using the graph, and indirectly, like a mathematics way, is you just use the definition of the absolute value. You do negative of that and then less than x minus A, less than positive of delta, and then get rid of another number except A. From the middle, I added A on all sides. I got A minus delta because A is positive, delta is negative. A minus delta less than A because that will cancel out, right? And then less than A plus delta. So in the interval notation, it is A minus delta, A plus delta. And then I draw that already because it is within delta distance from A. If you want to draw the graph, there is A and then A minus delta will be here and A plus delta will be here, right? That is the interval notation. Similarly, how would you do that for Y? These are for X. X is the horizontal axis, right? For Y, how do you write that? What it says is there is 3. You are looking within 0.5 distance from 3. This is 3 minus 0.5. This is 3.4, 3 plus 0.5. So this will be 3.5. This will be 2.5, right? 3.5 unit below and 0.5 unit above. So if you want to write in the interval notation, it will be 2.5 through 3.5, right? You see that? And another way is you can do the math. You can do exactly the same way, because how do you write is negative 0.5 is less than y minus 3 is less than 0.5, and then you add 3 in all sides plus 3. If you do that, you will get, on the left side, you will get 2.5, right? 2.5 is less than y is less than 3.5. And then this is the graph, how right? So this is the interval notation, this is the graph. So since this is y or fx, I just wrote the vertical line, but you can still draw the horizontal line and then do the same thing, okay? That's fine. So this is f of x. Since this is f of x is y again, what you do, you draw the line. See, epsilon is a number or just a symbol, okay, like 0.5, 0.1, like that. So what you do, there is L somewhere within epsilon distance from L. So L plus epsilon, L minus epsilon. You see that? This is L plus epsilon. Going up, going down from L is L minus epsilon. So the interval notation will be L minus epsilon through L plus epsilon. You see that? Or if you were to do the math for this, what is given is you are given with fx minus L is less than epsilon, right? So how do I get rid of that? You do negative epsilon is less than fx minus L is less than positive epsilon, add L in all the sides, and then plus L. You get L minus epsilon is less than fx or y, right, is less than L plus epsilon. So in other words, this is same as L minus epsilon comma L plus epsilon. So this is how you can convert interval into absolute value and absolute value into